Let's do that. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'd like to call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Can we all please stand for the flag salute? Amelia, would you like to lead us in the flag salute, please?
Sure, ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Stephanie, would you like to do roll call?
Yes. For roll, I will call Vice Chair Ebley,
Here.
Commissioner Daly,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Present.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Wolbert. Here. Commissioners Durr and Quill are excused. Commissioner Liang is absent. We have quorum.
Thank you. Would you like to administer the oath to any speakers?
Everyone looking to speak, if you could please stand. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this body will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do. Thank you. You may be seated.
We have no closed session tonight. Okay. So let's proceed to non-public hearing items. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Honorable Chairman and Commissioners. Item number 1 involves the selection of a new chair and vice chair for the next fiscal year, which would run from June to July 18 to 19. Our recommendation is that the Commissioners vote among themselves to elect, or nominate, I should say, a chairperson and vice chair for the next year. So with that, we could take nominations if you
Okay, thank you. I'll open it up for nominations. First, we'll start with vice chair.
Well, I realize I'm brand new on the commission, but this is my third time sitting in the seat, and so I would be honored to serve in either one of these positions if there's nobody more qualified than myself.
Okay.
I'd like to nominate Vice Chair Ebley.
I'm going to have to take myself out of the running because tonight's my last meeting. Yeah. Thank you, and I'll explain that at the end of the meeting. But yeah,
I would like
thank
to
you.
nominate Commissioner Daly.
We have a nomination for Commissioner Daly for vice chair.
I'll second it if I can.
Oh. You can.
Slim
That's what we're
numbers
here.
here.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. For chair, we have nominations. I would like to nominate Commissioner Anthony Jones.
I'd second that.
We have a nomination and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? There we have it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. We'll move on. Consent items are considered routine in nature and may be enacted in one motion. All public and non-public hearings will be open at one time. Any item may be discussed separately upon request of a member of the Planning Commission or member of the public.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. We have 2 items on the consent calendar for this evening. We have the minutes from June 12th of 2018. Our recommendation is approval of those minutes as submitted. Item number 3 is extension of time number 1805, which is a request to allow a 1-year extension of time for subdivision 0501 involving tract map 17367 for the property located on the north side of Vermont Drive between Chestnut Avenue and Magnolia. So those are our 2 recommendations. With that extension of time, it would be for the adoption of Resolution 2018-041.
Are there any questions pertaining to this? Yes.
I'd like to abstain from item number 2 as I wasn't here nor on the commission at the time.
Okay. We noted that Commissioner Daly abstains from the minutes. Are there any questions? Mr. Liang?
If I may, Commissioner Liang has arrived to the meeting, so he's think he's here in time for the consent calendar as well.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion? And a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. Right page. Okay. The public items. The Planning Commission will first hear a report from staff, and then the public hearing will be opened. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Next, members of the public will be allowed to speak. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak must be sworn in and also fill out a request to speak form. The forms are located on the table near the door. When your name is called, come forward and speak into the microphone, say and spell your name, and give your address for the taped record. After all have spoken, the applicant will be allowed to respond. The public hearing will then be closed, and Planning Commission will begin deliberations and make a decision.
Thank you.
Mr. Director?
Yes, item number 4 involves conditional use permit 1806, and Chantal Power will be presenting that item, please.
Yes, so conditional use permit 1806 involves the construction of a drive-through restaurant, Carl's Jr., containing approximately 2,590 square feet on a parcel containing approximately 0.26 acres located at 293 East 40th Street. And I apologize, there is a slight typo. The zoning is just CG1, not residential, as you can see from the location map. The Carl's Jr. will be contained within the larger multi-tenant TJ Maxx Commercial Center on the corner of, or approximately on the corner of Waterman Avenue and 40th Street, as you can see here. So here's a few site photos. There was a traffic study that was conducted for the proposed Carl's Jr., and it was approved by our traffic engineers with some minor mitigation measures, nothing that will affect the construction of the drive-through restaurant. So here's a few more photos. This is from on-site. You can see that some cars do park there now for the TJ Maxx, but really that site is kind of used for overflow parking, and it won't impact the TJ Maxx. You can see there's still several parking spaces available. This is the basic design layout. We've got, all of the requirements, the 25-foot setback, so that we have a clean turning radius onto 40th Street, the floor plan, and you can see that they took some time to put together a well-designed building. It's got a lot of articulation and color for visual presentation. With that, that concludes my report, and our recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 2018-038, adopting the categorical exemption and approving conditional use permit 18-06, based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval.
Would the applicant or owner, are they present?
They are.
Would you like to speak or make any statement? No? Okay, then I'll entertain questions from committee.
Yes, so this is on a pad in front of TJ Maxx.
That's correct.
Okay. And it borders the gas station.
Yes.
And the city's done a good traffic study of all this area, including the jam up behind Starbucks.
Yes, yeah, that was
That's a nightmare.
considered in the traffic impact analysis. But I think what was shown was that on this side of the street, there's really not that many impacts from that Starbucks. That's mostly on the other side of the street.
How many parking spaces? Because that corner with the gas station, the traffic going up to the mountains, the Starbucks, as he says, it is a Chair, how many parking spaces does the Carl's Jr. have? Would it
They
accommodate?
have about 6 parking spaces on site, but they have a shared parking agreement with the TJ Maxx. Yes, yeah,
TJ Maxx doesn't mind that.
not to my knowledge. They agreed to it, so, yeah.
So TJ Maxx is in agreement with everything then?
Yes.
Okay. The parking we're talking about, is it delineated where the two can't be mixed, or are they kind of intermingled?
There's no designated parking spaces, so people can park kind of freely throughout the sites.
Okay. The left-hand turn lane from 40th to northbound Waterman. Is there any, well, actually, I'm already corrected myself. Any thought of extending the length of that left-hand turn lane? But it's existing, isn't it?
It is existing, and I don't believe that was proposed as part of the TIA for this.
Yeah, that's
this
center. I just
project.
answered my own question.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, what were the proposed hours of operation for this project?
If you'll give me just a moment, I'll take a look. They will be 24 hours.
And as far as security, will there be provided security, or is there a shared agreement with the remaining tenants of the area, or how will that work as far as that?
My name is Alex Bonacci.
Can you
You'll
step
have
to the
take
podium, please, and state your name and address?
My name is Dominic Bonacci, D-O-M-E-N-I-C-B-O-N-A-C-C-I. I live at 49005 Tango Court in La Quinta, California. And we don't propose any security at this point in time. If that's something that's needed, we've done that in the past. We'll keep the doors locked after 10 or 11 p.m. is usually when we close down the dine, and just keep the drive-thru open until about 5:30 in the morning.
Thank you, Dominic.
I have a question. Are the other Carl's Jr.'s in the city also 24 hours?
We don't operate any of the other Carl's Jr.'s in San Bernardino. We have some in Highland and Yucaipa, and neither of those are 24 hours, but we do operate a couple 24 hours in the Coachella Valley.
People buy burgers that late at night, huh?
They're that good, ma'am.
Well, that was a good answer. Any other questions for our applicant owner? I'll entertain a motion then.
I make a motion that we accept, where's the number? Conditional use permit 1806. Excuse me, motion number 2018-038.
I'll second it. Is that full?
Hey, why don't you,
Make the full
can you read that whole statement? Do you have the
Start with Planning Commission adopt.
agenda there, Ed, here?
I can do it for you, Chair. I believe
Okay.
the motion was to adopt Resolution 2018-38, adopting the categorical exemption and approving conditional use permit 1806 based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. Item number 5. Staff. Oh, thank you.
Item number 5 is General Plan Amendment 16-06, Development Code Zoning Map Amendment 16-07, Development Permit Type P 16-06, and Variance 18-01. The proposal is to change 4 of the existing 5 parcels proposed for this development project from a commercial land use designation to residential or multifamily residential. and to change the zoning map of those four same parcels from commercial general 1 to residential medium high. The remaining parcel is already zoned residential medium high, which would allow for the development of the 84 units which are proposed with the clubhouse and pool. We are also asking for a variance for the distance from the parking spaces and a reduction in parking. And that is due to the fact that there are several fault lines that run through the property. So the original design of the apartment complex was a little bit more spread out across the site. The parking was evenly spread out. But as a result of the presence of those earthquake faults, which you can see actually in the aerial photo where they had done some trenching for the fault study, the design ended up looking like this. So we've got parking all on one side and the buildings on the other side because those buildings could not be placed over or actually within 50 feet of the existing fault lines. So everything is a little bit more condensed. The development code requires that residential units have to be placed within 150 feet of parking spaces. In this case, because everything had to be moved to one side of the site, there are about half of the units that exceed that 150-foot distance. So we're asking a variance for that. Some of the units obviously do fall within 150 feet, but not all of them. We're also asking for a parking reduction. The development code currently requires 155 parking spaces. And the applicant is proposing 128. As part of the justification for the variance, we had worked with Omnitrans during the public review period of the initial study. Omnitrans reached out to the applicant and asked for an area to place a bus stop, a fully improved bus stop. So the applicant has agreed to prepare an area for them. They will not build the bus stop themselves. Omnitrans will do that, but they will work in conjunction with Omnitrans to prepare the appropriate location for Omnitrans to build a fully enclosed, or not fully enclosed, but the full structure, covered structure and trash enclosure for the parking spot. So we believe that the general plan also encourages parking reductions for residential developments built along transit lines, so we feel that meets that general plan goal. Here's the basic floor plan. So it's a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. There's approximately 60 one-bedroom apartments here, and the remaining 24 are 2-bedroom apartments. This is the design we're looking for. So it's clearly a more Mediterranean feel. You've got the arches, kind of stucco, and the Spanish tiled roofs. These will be market rate also. So no low income, no senior. It is market rate apartments here. And mostly targeted towards staff and temporary patients over at Loma Linda University Hospital. They get a lot of overflow of patients that are there long term, and also staff needing more residential options. So they've designed the site. Also, you can see right in the middle of the site, because of the unique design, we designed, or actually, sorry, I shouldn't say we, the applicant designed a space down the center of the site for fire access only, because there's not access around the building. Fire did review this design and they approved it, so you have this area here that's designated only for fire emergency access if they need it. So these are the current conditions of the site. Obviously, it's a vacant site. Looking south of the site, you have a mix of some commercial uses as well as some residential uses. Again, residential across the street and residential abutting on the west side. The planning division recommendation for the planning commission tonight is that the commission adopt resolution 2018-040, forwarding a recommendation to the mayor and city council to adopt the mitigated negative declaration pursuant to CEQA and approve general plan amendment 16-06, development code zoning map amendment 16-07, development permit type P 16-06, and variance 18-01 based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And I can take any questions.
Yes, I have a couple. Again, Chantel, you said, how many parking spaces were they going to reduce it by? From what to what?
From
Sorry, I missed that.
155 to 128. So I believe that's about 27 spaces.
And that's due to Omnitrans?
It's due to just
Or the
the
configuration.
applicant's request.
Okay.
Also partially due to the redesign of the site, but we justified it a little bit with the fact that they are working with Omnitrans.
Okay. Can you go back to that slide of the site map again?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'm just curious, is it just one entrance off of Weir? Is that how it's?
Yes,
It looks to me
that
it's just
is-
the
that
in
is
and out
correct.
is one entrance off of Weir.
Just the one entrance off of Weir, and then emergency access off of Waterman Avenue.
And fire rode off on that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, we worked extensively with the fire department on this design.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm curious, I heard you say that 60 apartments for single, one bedroom,
Yes.
with 20 or a little over 20 two-bedroom. Why not the other way around? I would expect that people who are looking for affordable housing will have more than one person moving in.
I think we can hear from the applicant on that, but go ahead and state your name. I also,
Yes, I'm the applicant Alex Musino with AHDLP. And good evening. Thank you for giving us this time to be here tonight. We've been working on this project for a little over 2 years, and with the help of Oliver and Chantel, we've been able to move this forward to tonight. This is not for low income. This is market rate apartments.
So what would the rent be going for a single apartment?
Well,
'Cause
that's-
you have more for single than you do two-bedroom.
That's correct.
Is the market telling you that for that area, more single, one person moving in?
Yes. We're looking at a lot of people that have inquired in this area from Loma Linda University. I don't know if you know, but they've been expanding their facilities. They're adding a new wing to their hospital, and most of the families, or the employees, the doctors, the nurses, they're either single or married couples.
And that is your target group.
Well, our target group is anybody that works in the area that wants a nice complex to live in. And I appreciate that there's some employers that live nearby, and I'm sure that some of their employees that are making a pretty good wage would gladly walk from home to work.
And based on that, I guess then the parking spaces that you're going down to would be sufficient. Is there parking on Waterman along the streets there? On the
Not-
street parking?
I don't believe on Waterman, but I believe Weir does have some street parking.
Okay.
any other questions for the applicant?
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Chair.
Lang.
Mr. Messina, so you described this as a nice facility. What sort of amenities and things that you would accommodate this project or the residents there? What sort of, would there be like a multi-purpose room, workout, parks, that
Yes.
sort of things?
There is a swimming pool, a lounge, There's a guest house, a good-sized guest house that can be used for private parties. It has to be reserved, of course. We don't want every resident to be there interfering with a private group that has rented, not rented, has, what's the word, Jay? Reserved, I'm sorry. Reserved the public facilities, the private facilities, the clubhouse. So, plus, we've got a lot of landscaping, and in that access area for the fire engine, emergency fire trucks, there are going to be a lot of vegetation, and there's going to be seating tables and chairs for people to enjoy the cool evenings.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Whoever can answer out of staff or the applicant, I saw that Omnitrans was requesting various improvements in order to accommodate the bus stop that they would wish to install there, because I know there's one heading southbound, south of Wire, but there's some improvements that need to be made in order to install the bus stop where Omnitrans is desiring to do that on the northbound side. My first question is the applicant going to be making those improvements? And if so, once they're done, how soon will Omnitrans begin the construction for the northbound bus stop to help mitigate some of the parking problems and transit issues with this proposed development?
Yeah, so I can answer that. So the applicant will make partial improvements. So they will build up the ADA pad that's required for the bus stop, and also clear an area of some minimal landscaping or hardscape materials in an area that meets the size of the transit stop that Omnitrans was looking for. The applicant is going to be working with Omnitrans, and I have also talked to Anna Jaiswal from Omnitrans about what the applicant was saying that they will do on their part, and so they're going to work together to make that happen as soon as possible.
Okay. So when this proposed project is complete, will the construction run congruent with the same time frame for Omnitrans as with the actual parcel here that we're working on as well, or will that come after? Will there be?
I don't have a projected timeline specifically from Omnitrans. I think a lot of that is tied to some of their funding sources. So we don't have a specific timeline for that, but I do know that they want to get that installed as quickly as possible.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Daly, and then Ed. Go ahead, Ed.
I'd like to compliment on first on the architectural rendering. It looks really good. I think I don't have any problem with it at all. It looks very, very good for what you have there. Out of curiosity only, you're going to have to use or have to maintain stormwater storage on this property?
Yes, and unfortunately, our engineer couldn't make it today because of a prior commitment, but yes, we have that designed into a portion of the project, more to the corner of Weir and Waterman.
Oh, it's open storage?
Well, it's subterranean.
Subterranean?
Yes.
Yeah. I've just, my curiosity, that's a big deal.
Yes, and our architect, Jay Nelson of Archimetrics, is the one that designed the project.
Looks nice.
Commissioner Daly.
Thank you. Just curiosity, if you were to get approval tonight, what is your timing on construction?
Well, we're already working on construction drawings, and we're pretty advanced. Hopefully, we could have those submitted to the city within 45 days. And then construction will depend on how long it would take to get them through the city, through the approval process, plan check, et cetera.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Is the reason why you are requesting a downsizing of the number of parking spaces is because the lots don't accommodate what was initially required?
No. What happened here, we had a different design. The original design, we had, I think, 4 buildings. Unfortunately, subsequently we found out that there were faults on the property. On the east side, we had to redesign the project completely. Our initial project more than met parking requirements. I think we had 178 parking spaces around there.
Because of the fault line.
And because, but because of fault line, obviously we had to redesign and reduce the number of buildings and move them to the west. So now we have less space to work with. So that was the reason.
And I can understand the thing about the bus stop to maybe accommodate, but if this is not low-income housing, as you say, for a more upscale, I wonder if people will be taking the bus.
Well, people are taking the bus. There's a Telesu project on Commercial Way, which is the next street to the north of Weir, and there are people that need those services. The bus stop that's going to be built there is a bus stop. It's not basically just put a little cover and a couple of chairs and use the street as parking for the bus to stop. It's going to be a full-fledged concrete pad where the bus can pull in and the passengers can get on the bus. It's not going to be burdening the street at all.
Okay. If it's a destination coming to the apartment, if you're at full capacity, how are you going to be assigning the parking lots? With parking spaces, first come, first serve?
That's correct.
And then those that don't will have to park on the street.
That's the way most apartment projects work, unfortunately. I remember when I was going to school in Los Angeles, went to UCLA, I even had a hard time finding parking spaces for my motorbike.
Oh, no, I understand.
And,
that's why it's not always
but we've tried to accommodate as much as possible with the limitations that the site has.
That's the only reason why I asked if there was parking on the street, because everybody wants their own vehicle, and it is convenient.
Yes.
It creates for some problems if it's a first come, first serve.
Yes.
They're paying the rent, but there is no parking space.
Well, there is quite a bit of parking on Weir Road, and then on the side street that comes in from the south, the southeast corner of Weir and Waterman is basically a commercial complex that's occupied during the day. And they've got parking in front on both sides, free parking.
Any questions for the applicant or for Chantel, staff? Aaron?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would like to echo the same point my colleague mentioned. It's 20% reductions. It's quite substantial in terms of parking requirements. So you're really designing for 54 units in reality. So, I mean, my concern would be first come, first serves, and then the rest of the units won't have that parking spot. So it creates this sort of confusion and fighting spots on the streets, essentially. So, and I'm not sure if the findings is there in terms of the Omnitrans. It's great that you have public transportation, that you're working with Omnitrans to accommodate, riderships and things like that. But again, I think, I'm wondering in terms of the overall side, if you could accommodate a little bit more in terms of parking requirements. I mean, if you were to put this equate in the studio, 1 parking per unit, for example, again, you're at 20% substantial reduction. So that would be my concern.
Well, no, I can understand, I can appreciate the concern, but recall we have 84 units, and we're providing 128 parking spaces. Not everyone in the project will have a car. I mean, will have 2 cars. So, obviously, the 2 bedrooms will have an allowance for 2 cars. The 1 bedrooms for 1 car, and we'll be able to keep count of that. Our policy is to vet all our potential renters, and we'll ask those questions as to how many cars they have, et cetera. That's going to be one of the considerations. But I'm just saying, we have 84 units, and we're providing 128 parking spots.
I have a question.
Thank you.
On Weir Street, what is it? Is it a business? Are there other houses? Is it residential? Other people parking that may not appreciate tandem parking?
It's a mix of both commercial and residential is mostly to the east of the site. And you have a mix of commercial and residential to the south of the site. And I believe the southern parcels, the residential parcels there are more of kind of a PUD style development that has all of the parking kind of accounted for within those residential units. And then the apartments to the east of this site. Whenever I've been in that area, I haven't seen too many people parking on the street, but there is street parking available. So, I mean, that's the
Not
best that I
yet.
can answer for that. So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the parking issue as well. So there were 84 units, 60 of them one-bedroom, 24 two-bedroom, and you're providing for 128 spots.
Correct.
So if you give 2 spots for each of the two-bedroom and 1 spot for each of the one-bedroom, that gets us to 108, which would leave 20 left over for guests, and if 1 out of the 3 wanted to have, if some of the one-bedrooms needed to have 2 cars, they could. Okay. All right. I was just making sure my math was right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do we have any other questions, comments?
If I may, Commissioners and Chair.
Yes.
That was kind of the rationale that we looked at, from the staff level. As we've mentioned, this has been a project that's kind of been a 2-year in the process. So there's been several variations of the design, site design of this. Once the fault line issues became apparent, and so, as you know, we very rarely do we bring variances to the commission. There needs to be a unusual or unique circumstance to the property that isn't applied to anyone else or in the general area. It's not too common, if you will. And so when we look at, over a third of the site is essentially non-buildable. So we started talking about some of the design features that we can utilize. We did start off with this footprint, if you will, 2 stories, and that gets us, you do the math of 56 units or so, and depending on what the unit mix was. But we wanted to maybe think a little bit out of the box, if you will. As you saw the elevations, we believe that we came out with a product that is superior, I would say. Some of the features like inside, the fire access is not in the middle. That's not going to be asphalt. It's going to be the pavers where it allows grass to grow through, and so you can utilize it. And the hope is that fire department won't ever need to use that. I mean, that's really the goal, but fire has that requirement for being able to have access in that case. And so that's why we looked at it in that way. We did look at give us at least a parking space per bedroom, kind of a thing. And from there, maybe there's an assignment to the other seats where the 1 per bedroom. I mean, I would suggest maybe in the conditions where maybe the parking stalls are numbered and assigned, for the tenants. And so at least I know that I'm going to have spot number 37 when I come home every night, and I have to drive around and try to beat someone else that doesn't belong, or what have you. And so there are ways, and we can do that. If you'd like to add a condition like that, we can do that. But we felt, given the site location and the design features, that's where our support and recommendation for this project came.
Mr. Chair, question. Thank you. Thank you for that comment,
You're
Oliver.
welcome.
I do recognize unique circumstances and difficulties exist with the major fault line there for the variance justification. Would you be opposed to assigning parking spaces as part of the project property management so that you can kind of resolve internally in terms of coming home late at night that I would have a reserved spot? If so, that would be an added conditions of approval that parking assignment per these units would be to ensure the availability, some of
Yeah.
these folks that are paying?
No,
for
we'd be
these?
amenable to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm ready to make a motion.
No further questions or comments. I do have a speaker slip. Mr. Marvin Norman, is that right? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, please come and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commission. My name is Marvin Norman, M-A-R-V-E-N Norman. I live at 1454 Pumo Street East here in San Bernardino. And I have several comments about the project. I went through the packet, and so to familiarize myself with the project. And so in general, I like the project. It looks like a good addition to the city. We need some addition of new development in the city, so thank you to the applicant for bringing it forward. I would make some comments about the transit. The transit in front of the site, of course, doesn't go to Loma Linda. That one goes to Cal State, which is good for students like me, per se, but if I'm looking for a place, you could get on the bus there and go straight to Cal State for free, because students get to ride the bus for free. But the one that goes to Loma Linda is about 2 blocks up on Barton Road. But the parking, I think the parking, it's fine. Actually, I would encourage the applicant to unbundle the parking, because right now, like for example, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm given 2 spots, but I only have 1 car. And so now I'm paying for a spot I don't need. And so it'd be great if the applicant could find some way to unbundle the parking so that people like me who don't need 2 spots aren't left paying for a spot they don't need. And so if there's a way to rent it out to other renters at the complex or whatever, that would be great. Also, bike parking. I'm also a bicyclist, and so parking on site, perhaps maybe one of those spots could even be turned into like a shared bike corral for residents to use to park their bikes. And I also mentioned something about car ownership in general. We're in a time when you can buy a car very, very soon that could drive itself, and very soon we're going to be flooded with cars that drive themselves everywhere. People are going to stop owning cars, and so we're building more spots than we have houses there. Housing is a problem in the region more than cars are. We need places for people to live, not for cars to live. So with these professionals that they're being marketed to, a lot of them already use Uber and Lyft and those kind of apps. It's literally a mile down the road, and so it's not hard to call an Uber up and be there really quickly. And a lot of people are finding that it's really cheap to not spend hundreds or thousands of dollars a month to own a car when you could just get ferried over the corner. So I don't think you're going to have much problem with parking, and if there's a problem with on-street parking, which there shouldn't be because there's already parking available on the street, just put up meters, and people will decide if it's a good idea for them to actually park on the street or to park in the assigned spot that they have. And about the on-street parking, I would say perhaps that it would be a good idea to designate a zone for like Uber, Lyft pickup zone in front of the complex on Weir Street, actually. Also, I would say that in the parking lot, since we're talking about parking, the other thing that's coming are electric cars. And so it'd be good to see at least 10% of the spots already have chargers as part of them, and then maybe 48% of them pre-wired for future installation of electric car chargers. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Norman. Appreciate your comments.
I had a question. That bus stop that's out there on Waterman, it's the 5, isn't it? That doesn't run to Loma Linda?
19 does.
Oh, okay. Is there a transfer? Do you know by any chance? Because I'm looking at the map, but I don't see the 19 running.
Yeah, so 19 runs on Barton, and they intersect there at Barton and Waterman. The 5 southbound gets off there, and the 5 northbound. And I would also mention that there's already a bus stop there. It's in front of the C2. It's just not an improved stop. It's just a sign, you know.
Thank you. Just had a question for the applicant. Are there plans to have EV charging stations or have any of the spots wired for EV charging stations?
No, we didn't consider that, but that can be a consideration. Obviously, that's an investment, and we have to analyze it with the appropriate authorities also, get
Sure.
approvals.
Yeah, and then his comment about bike parking.
Bike parking, we have a space where we can allot parking for bikes.
Okay.
That's bicycles, of course, not motorcycles.
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion adopting resolution number 2018-040, forwarding a recommendation to the mayor and city council, the adoption of the mitigated negative declaration and approval of general plan amendment 16-06 development code amendment 16-07 development permit type P 16-06 and variance 18-01 based on the findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval, including the parking assignment provision.
I have a motion.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Thank you. We are at the moment of public comments for items not on the agenda. None? Okay, then we'll move on. Planning Commission reports and announcements.
I have a few announcements.
Please.
On August 8th, we have the Northeast Coffee with the Cop. It's going to be Wednesday, August 8th from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Denny's on 702 East Highland Avenue in San Bernardino. Also, the City of San Bernardino Parks and Recreation and Community Services Department is having a water play at Lytle Creek on Saturday, August 4th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. That's all the announcements I have.
Any other announcements? Because I have one. Tonight is my last meeting on the commission. My house is in escrow. I'm going to be moving to Cherry Valley / Calamasa. So it has been a wonderful run. I've been a planning commissioner. This is my second stint. I've done it about 6 years. I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of great people, and I'll be leaving, but my heart will still be here. So I want to thank everyone for the great job that you're doing. I wish all of you well, and that's it. So thanks for everything.
We're sad to see you go.
Well,
it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Commissioner Ebley. We'll miss you. We'll miss you. We also learned from you. We really appreciate your wisdom and guidance at here today.
I'm going to start planning my retirement 10 years early. So, yeah.
I'd sing your praises, but I'd get accused of patting my belt. I said we're going to miss you.
Hey, well, I'm going to miss a lot, everyone, not only you guys, but I have a lot of friends that I've made over the years, and it'll be different, but I got to pay more attention to my dogs now, I guess. So. The wife doesn't mind, but the dogs, they mind. So.
We're also going to miss Jim with the Neighborhood Association Council because he was president at the San Bernardino Valley College. He also served as the NAC president for 4 years. I followed him and learned a lot of stuff that what I was taking upon myself with the NAC. So we also are going to miss him there.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. At 22 years I lived in this city. I wasn't a native, but for 22 years there on Bunker Hill, down the street from Valley, and put a lot of sweat into that house. So whoever's buying it, it's solid. But thank you. Yeah, I that's one of the things I'm going to miss the most is the neighborhood association. There's some good people in this city, very good people. Okay, director's report. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioners, yes, we have nothing to report this evening. We'll, on the next meeting of August 14th, we will have 6-7 items on the agenda, so you might want to eat a sandwich before you come and, and make your appropriate arrangements for afterwards. Thank you.
And I'll call for an adjournment.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to the next regular meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August 14th.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.